Who are you? Seriously, who are you? If we take this question with any kind of sincerity and we look past the usual polite answers, well, I'm Matthew. No, Matthew is just a name that your parents gave you. Well, I'm an architect. An architect you may be, and God knows we need better architects. I sometimes look at the little boxes we can find ourselves to and think, what do they do all day? Do they just draw squares? Being an architect, terribly useful skill. It's got nothing to do with you though, has it? Well, I guess I'm 28 years old, and who is 28 years old? As I was saying, if you consider this question with any level of sincerity, it becomes one of the most intriguing things you can ask yourself or another person. Now, in this video, I am going to show you my best answer to this question, and you're going to kick yourself because it's painfully obvious and still impossible. When you say I, when you're talking to someone, you say, well, I did this. I. What exactly are you referring to? Most people, when they say I, are referring to a congregation of their experiences, their memories, their senses, and their conscious intent. This gets slippery again when we go, okay, but who is the one experiencing those experiences? Who's the one minding the store? Now, I want you to try this. If you ask someone, where are you? Where is the center of you? They're most likely going to point to here, right? Center of the forehead, about 2 inches back, is where they think the center of themselves is, as if there's someone in their brain pulling levers and switches. What they're referring to is their mind. And that makes sense, right? As we have discovered over the past couple centuries, the mind is an incredible tool. It took us fleshy, pokeable, little petulant creatures onto the moon, debatably, or at least into the stars. So there's tripwires everywhere, man. But it is well said by some very wise people, I'm not sure where the original quotation comes from, that the mind is a great servant but a terrible master. And just to prove a point, I'm going to argue that the stomach is actually the master. If you actually stop and think about it, minds are a very recent invention in evolution. Life actually began as just little tubular things, right? Stuff went in one end and it came out the other. These little tubules developed some little appendages so they could swim towards more food. Things realised, okay, well actually if we had some eyes so we could see our next dinner, it'd be way more useful. And then to put all those things together, you need kind of like a nervous system, and you need a brain, because you need a brain to think about these things and to plot what tomorrow's breakfast is going to be. I don't know. This is obviously ridiculous, but I don't think it's any more ridiculous than saying the mind is the master, because the mind needs the stomach to keep it going, and the stomach needs the mind to even know there's a stomach in the first place. And this codependence is one of the core principles of the ancient Taoist philosophy. It's called Xuan Sheng, and it's written like this, with a literal meaning or translation of to give birth to each other, or to arise mutually. Now this is going to be very useful when we return to that original question in just a moment. It is also symbolized in Buddhist teachings as yin and yang. And to many Eastern cultures, this concept is considered totally basic. It can still seem kind of alien to our way of thinking, but it is slowly starting to seep more and more into the Western outlook on life. With the whole idea being, everything you see, every little thing in this world is inseparable from everything else, and it's always defined by its opposite. For instance, we define ourselves by the identity of others. If I am the speaker, you must be the audience. This idea works for roles, but it also works for what we call material. We only know what hard is in relation to soft things. We only know what hot is in relation to cold things. We only know what light is in relation to dark. And we only know what life is in relation to death. But let me remove any idea in your mind that it's possible to have one of these without the other, to have a front without a back. And I'm going to illustrate it like this. Okay, I need you to imagine that there is just a complete black expanse, like the middle of space, and there's nothing there apart from a singular white orb in the centre of it. Now, this white orb might be moving, but we have no idea if it is or not, until you introduce, I don't know, a second white orb. Now we can see where these two orbs are in relationship to each other. This is how our reality works, or at least how we perceive it to work. Nothing can exist on its own. Are you ready? If you're still watching at this point, you must be on some sort of path to waking up or having a paradigm shift. Unless you're just playing with the idea of all of this, in which case you're still going to pretend you're just a poor little me. You do not exist apart from the rest of the world. You are the universe, you are the whole thing, waving for a little while as the person you consider you to be. So I ask you again, who are you? You're not an age, you're not a name, you're not a job, you're not even a singular mind. You are the world itself, rising out of this great dance of energy and forms and going, hi, it's me. See again, just like a wave rises out of the ocean and then eventually returns to it. If you realise this already and you're just watching this sort of content to remind yourself of it, I want you to be careful, because this is one of the remaining taboos in our culture. In other words, I shouldn't be giving the game away like this, and neither should you. The only reason I feel comfortable doing it is because I'm pretty damn sure no one's gonna believe it anyway. If one of us is crazy, then the other must be sane, right? I'd also like to point out that I'm not a Taoist, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a neurobiologist or any type of religious person for that matter. I'm simply saying all of this because I find this view of the world absolutely fascinating. It's been very useful for me to understand certain things like this, and I think in the predicament we find ourselves in the 21st century, it's probably useful to a whole lot of people. In other words, I think you might find these ideas helpful. With all that being said, you know what buttons to press to make this kind of video a regular thing on your feed. Thank you for taking the time to be here with me today. And thank you for taking the time for you as well. I hope you carry this feeling with you today. Peace, love and respect. I'll see you next time.